I'm seeing so much of this chatter from fans, other Chiefs content creators on YouTube, talking about a way to rationalize why we're seeing a limited in snap counts for Kadarius Toney and Jerick McKinnon. And the number one thing I'm seeing is, loosely quotes, I mean, this is most of the stuff I've been seeing, though. They are saving them for later in the season and the playoffs. So we're saving Kadarius Toney, a guy who we saw as the number one receiver going into the season. We're saving him for later in the season. The guy gets 7 snaps week 9. And then McKinnon, we've seen him utilized a little less than we saw him last year. And the guy was our second leading receiver on our team last year behind Kelsey. So since you played in the league, you know what coaches are doing. If they're sitting guys, they're waiting to use them in January. But what do you make of what's going on with Kadarius Toney and Jerick McKinnon? And we talked about it briefly this week about this whole waiting to utilize them. Can you kind of talk about that? Just because it's the most ridiculous thing ever. And Andy Reid's not going to wait. If a guy can help a guy now, our team now, we're not waiting. So please break that down. And why do you think we're not utilizing them right now?
Okay. Very good questions. So the first thing I'll address is this. Are we holding Kadarius Toney McKinnon till later on in the season? And to be honest, this is just my opinion on it. I have never really seen a case where you hold a guy toward the end of the season to say, hey, we're going to use him until the playoffs when he can be utilized now, right? And here's the reality is this. The only way you're going to be good at football and understand football is if you play football, okay, and be ready for it. And so Kadarius Toney may be getting some reps in practice. He may get just a few reps in a game. But I would find it hard to believe that his volume will go up by 500% or whatever it may be, where he's going from 4 snaps to now all of a sudden he's getting, 40 snaps a game, right? To me, and we could say obviously his history of him being, hurt and his injury could be a factor, but also too, I think you got to get a guy like that going. I think you have to get a guy like that going. And so why not give him more volume that they can see what he can do and how he can help, especially if there's things that we are, without a doubt, we're struggling in, right? Which one, it would be short yardage, for one, okay, in the red zone, number 2, but also 2, maybe the deep ball is another one. I see there's plays that he could absolutely do. He can catch the back, the back fade, going on a down route. He runs pretty good routes. He's just not a slant gadget guy. And I think if we regulate him just doing that, then we're limiting what actually the possibilities could be offensively. That's how I feel about it. And so I think the notion of just waiting till Anthony to the playoffs to use this guy just doesn't make any sense for me. Okay. And so this is, Andy's holding back the play. To me, it doesn't make any sense because it's the same thing like the whole, like Keys is making. Why would you hold the playbook back? Wouldn't you want to give volume to a defense to see? So if I'm giving a volume of offensive plays for defense to see, if I'm running 50 plays out of the same personnel, same formation, whatever it may be, then a team is seeing all those different things. He has no idea I ran the same play since week 3, right? Because there's so much that he has to look at, okay, all throughout the entire year, which makes it very difficult for defense to get ready for. Now you can't determine what we're going to run because we done ran 50 plays out of that same formation and whatnot, okay? But if I'm taking it down to 20 or 15, then it gives the defense a little bit better, way to dictate what we're doing or, what they can see. Same thing with Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon has been a weapon for us. We've seen him being utilized last year that he was able to just make a run toward the end of the season when he was just absolutely lighting the field up. He scored touchdowns. He was putting the ball in the hand of a playmaker, and he was making plays for us. So I don't know why we would sit there and say we're saving Jerick McKinnon for later on in the playoffs, especially if he can help us in the offense, especially in fields that we know we've been struggling. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I just don't, we don't espouse to that belief and those thinking. I have never, ever seen that in my life. In the history of me playing or coaching, I'd never say, oh, we're going to hold this guy until, wait till playoffs, and then we're going to let him go, turn him loose. For what reason? Why? Like the frustration in a player, how do you explain to a player that's just what you're doing? Hey, man, don't look. I know you're only getting 4 snaps, but hey, when playoffs come, guess what, man? We're going to utilize you until your legs fall off. It wouldn't make any sense. That's just that would be an antithesis to what you're trying to do to become a better offense. I think that's what it is, man. So I don't know why they're saying that, but hey, man, I don't know.
JD, I just want to give a shout out. HD Dreaming, love you, brother. Love you. Thanks for the contribution to the channel, man.
Appreciate it, my guy. Appreciate you.
The one thing that, like, especially when it comes specifically talking Kadarius Toney, we're saving him, and I've seen people say, and of course these are content creators, these are other people just spitballing like we do. And the one argument that I have against that, it's like, okay, we're saving Kadarius Toney. We literally played him, so he got the meniscus tear, and everyone's saying, oh, it's injury concerns. We don't want to get him hurt. We want to keep him fresh for the playoff run. If that's true, week 1, he was literally the first game back from his meniscus tear that he had, and he pretty much got all playing time that game. He had the million drop game. He played pretty much all snaps in that game. And all of a sudden, week 9, now we're holding him back. If anything, at that week 1 time was the time to give him the 7 snaps, 8 snaps. Maybe we rushed him back too soon, but like the fact that we're holding him at this point, that doesn't even make any sense to me. Like that logic doesn't apply here, at least for me, because at least for Toney, because I mean, we're not holding him back anymore, because obviously week 1 we unleashed him right away, right out the gate when he was recovering from the partial meniscus tear, and then week 9 he's getting 7 snaps, and then one play he does get like last week, that one catch he had. I mean, that's juice we're talking about, JD. Man, that's real juice we're talking about.
Right. And the thing is, like you said, the first week of the season, because I think that was part of our concern. We were saying, well, look, Kadarius Toney, do we need him the first game of the season? Obviously against Detroit, okay? And we utilized him, but was it something that we ran back on, okay? And I don't know if that's something that we really wanted to do, but we did it. We did it. So, yeah. So now, later on, now you don't want to use him? We've been talking about the wide receiver struggles all during this time, and Kadarius Toney hadn't been getting any reps like that. So we have been struggling, been talking about MVS, okay, who's been getting a lot of reps, a lot of snaps, okay, particularly so because he's the highest player. He's, supposedly our number 1 receiver. They looking at everything, right? MVS, Justin Watson, Rashid Rice, he's earned every bit of his snaps that he's gotten, right? It makes sense for him.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you start looking at guys and what their production is, because this is production, look, this is performance business, okay? That's what it's all about. It's all about the performance here. And so if we haven't been getting that performance out of guys who's getting a lot of the snaps, then you have to start thinking, well, how come this guy's not getting more playing time than this other guy? This other guy right here is not really making any plays for us. What do we do? So, man, I think you have a point there. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I think part of the reason that maybe is still trying to figure out what guys can do. Okay, still trying to get the most out of guys that you're letting play. But it is, man. I'm absolutely just I can't wrap my head around the whole Kadarius Toney not being able to play, man. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Appreciate you, Berg, man, for the love, man. Definitely. But the thing is, man, when we sit over here, we're watching this. When we're sitting there, we're talking about offenses are struggling. We're talking about wide receivers not getting open, right, or not running great crisp routes. Then why not put a guy in that is better suited for that? Why not put a guy in who can actually take the top off of defense? He's a first-round pick for a reason, right? Because we understand his talent. We know he's a playmaker. We understand those things. So what's the issue? I really can't put my head around it. But I think, to be honest, with this bye week, this is what this bye week is all about, okay? What they'll do is they'll evaluate the first half about what's been working and what hasn't been working, who's been getting off, who hasn't been getting off, who's delivered and who hasn't delivered. And so are the times that Kadarius Toney does come in or Jerick McKinnon comes in, they do produce. We do try to get the ball. So it should just be on screens or a little slant. Let's give them a little bit more, complex plays to run. Okay, things we might not been as good in. Let's give them some other things on it though too.
JD, so our guy Keys has a question for us. Lots of calls for Casey to pick a starting 3 wide receivers. And this is something we've talked about, getting rhythm. And we're never going to get rhythm if we keep rotating 8 receivers in there a million times over. We talked about with the running game beginning part of the season, like Pacheco's never going to get going if you keep splitting up the carries. And we finally have started giving him consistent double-digit carries. So who would be your 3 receivers, JD, if you had to trot out 3 guys?
If I'm doing 3, I would make it that my core group of guys would have to be 4, and that 5th guy would have to be the one that's changing in. So I wouldn't necessarily do the 3. I had to say the 4 that I had to lean on all the time. Without a doubt, Rashid Rice. This is the ones that to me have earned their spots and their positions. Rashid Rice, Justin Watson. I've seen. Sky Moore has been, and I think because what Sky can do, I think he's more suited for the slot. Okay. MVS, I think MVS is another guy. He's got to be one of the 4th or 5th guy on their rotation, just for the simple fact of what we brought him in to do. Okay. And it's catching the deep ball, taking the top off the defense, Kadarius Toney. So that's got to be the rotation. Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson, Rashid Rice, MVS, and Sky Moore. The top 3's got to get with the lion's share of what you do. Kadarius Toney's got to be their 4th guy, okay? And Sky Moore's got to find himself in there too. And so you always look at the 5th guy to battle out. Does he warrant getting more snaps? Does he get more snaps than that? So yeah, I like that. Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney, MVS, and Rice. Yeah. So. I think that's where you have to go. That's where you have to go.
HT Dreamin', appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the love you guys are giving us tonight. Really, really, really appreciate everything you guys are contributing to the show. That'll help us go a long way as far as making the hats that everyone's seeing, that the one JD's got going on right now. That'll go a long way towards getting more merch out to you all. But yeah, JD, as far as the receivers, I know Keys with that question there. I'm going Rice. I'm going Watson. But for my 3, I would probably go Toney. And again, we know he's got injury plagued career. But we're never going to know how injury prone he is if we're getting him 7 reps a game. And maybe they're just trying to keep him healthy. But I don't know. I'm just guessing as to why. But as far as who's a guy who's giving us juice when he does touch the ball, he is electrifying. And then at the 4th spot, I'm probably going to go MVS. MVS is just giving us more than Sky has. Sky would be probably that 5th guy who's rotating in at that point. Right. But MVS provides, of those 3 between Rice, Watson, and Toney, MVS is more the burner of all those guys. He's the one that can blow the tops off, which it's just interesting that we really haven't tried a lot of that this year with MVS. It seems like every time Mahomes steps back to throw a bomb, it's usually to Watson, which is just, which is interesting that MVS is not that guy. I mean, maybe they're, I have to look at the All-22 film to see how they're guarding him, but yeah.
Well, okay. So this is where I'm gonna go with it. All right. So because let's go on and get into conversation. All right. So let's go on and get into it. So and we'll do a little bit more deeper dive into some of these things. I have a little bit more things I have to say about what I'm seeing out there on the film. Okay. And everybody has every right to disagree with me on this. But I do believe, as far as some of the plays that I've seen being ran, is not taking advantage for what they do. Okay. And so I don't think that we're giving our guys an ample amount of opportunity to play to their strengths. Okay. And when I say that is this, MVS, because of what he was able to do up in Green Bay, is the reason he came down here. Okay. Pure and simple. And that was to take the top off the defense. That's what he was dangerous in. And I believe he still has that ability. He's dangerous in that. We have not given him enough where we just give him 9 routes. or deep post and just trying to take the top off the defense. In my estimation, I don't see that. I don't see enough of it. And so why would you all of a sudden, it's like, why would you bring somebody in, like for me, like a big guy to run reverses? Like it didn't make any sense. Okay. And I've seen that. I've seen that from training camp to where we are now, we still have a problem figuring out what guys could do. Okay. So same thing, like Keys is talking about Sky Moore, and it's what I'm thinking in my head. We had Sky Moore run a couple of, reverses. I wouldn't say the strong suit. That's just not what he does. He's great in space, smaller receiver. He can find windows, comebacks, flats. He does a great job of that. I think it's a strong suit. Kadarius Toney, he's a guy that has an ability to take the top off the defense, comebacks, double moves. We need to see a little bit more of that. Okay, the juke routes. Tony, Sky Moore are those guys for that. Justin Watson, MVS, Kadarius Toney can take tops off the defense. I didn't even name one guy that we're forgetting about, okay, that we brought back here is McCole Hardman. Okay. Apologize for McCole Hardman because McCole Hardman, before these guys got here, he was doing all of that. All right. So let me bring his name up. Okay. And I think that's the reason that he needs to be spoken about in this conversation. Because as much as we sit there and some people don't like McCole Hardman made plays for us. He made plays taking the top off the defense. He's one of the fastest guys on our team. McCole Hardman needs to get some playing time. He don't need to learn Patrick Mahomes. He's been doing this offense. He's been doing it. He's been doing it longer than anybody else out there on the field. So I apologize for McCole Hardman not naming his name because that's the reason we brought him back for him to bring some juice. Okay. So I do believe McCole Hardman needs to be in that top 5 receiving. I do. I think he needs to be in that rotation. Okay. And I think that's why you have to figure these things out. So yeah, I'm going to sit there and say, look, lion's share of these things, Justin Watson, Rashid Rice, Kadarius Toney, McCole Hardman, and MVS. And the Sky Moore, if you gaining, reps, then so be it. Let it be that. But without a doubt, I think there's things need to be evaluated, what guys do well, okay, and stick to that, okay? I really do believe that. That comes from Nagy. Not only from Nagy, but it comes from the wide receiver coach in Embry, okay? What I'm seeing a failure to do also is the route running is not as crisp. I watched the dig route, a basic route. I'm going to talk to my boy Berg on here because he knows. I've seen it. It took him 6 yards to get out of a basic. So when you're running a route, which is 12 to 15 yards, okay, basic route, that's what it is, 12 to 15, maybe 18 yards, it should never take you 6 yards to come out of your break. To me, that's lack of discipline. That is lack of technique on what it is that you're trying to do with this route. Same thing, we run deep routes, running deep posts or comebacks, and I don't see any movement with the head or anything, like not even a stick at the top of the route. You're not even getting on top of the defender. That corner route that we threw to MVS, I'm going to go on my rant right now. The corner route, MVS got on top of him, but then he didn't stack him. He didn't get on top, where you could put him on his back hip, right? So you went in this route. You get back on the top of the defender. When you have him, now you can go a two-way go, okay? If he's playing man on him. Now you really got it. All you got to do is give him a head nod or just a fake somewhere. He's going to go for it. Then you open him up. Scott, that one to throw MBS where he wasn't able to get it, he should have been more wide open than it was. Another thing was on that throw, Patrick didn't have a chance to actually step into it. You see the pass, he wasn't able to step into it. So that's the thing. It's just like little things like that I'm seeing some of the route running. It bothers me. It absolutely bothers me because I'm sitting there like, what is being coached here? What are they doing? Okay. Now, we are, as coaches, we all coach different ways. We all have different philosophies, but there should still be somewhat of a understanding what these things are, right? Component to understand what the philosophy, what we're trying to do. Everybody should be coaching the same way. Shouldn't be any different from what Nagy wants on this route or Andy wants on this route. Everything should be consistent. And I don't see consistency there. It's another one. Attack the football. That's right. Ball in the air, we should be high pointing it. Guy that I played with for a long time, I know people they may know his name. His name is Tony Gonzalez. Okay. All right. Tony Gonzalez was probably one of the best high-point receivers I've ever seen in the game, okay? To the point where I used to get on him and say, man, why do you don't like catching balls over your shoulder, okay? Why don't you like doing that? And that's another thing, too. Certain guys like catching balls a particular way. And TG would say, hey, look, JD, he said, I love catching the ball, fronting it up or high-pointing it. It's easy for me. It's like catching a basketball. It's like catching alley-oop. It's easy for me to do that. I said, but when you catch it over your shoulder, you can catch and run with the football this way. And so we would have this talk, this conversation amongst, pass catchers and tight ends. Right? These are the things that you had. But he was so good at high point and catch the ball over his head that when you threw it up, he said, just throw the ball up. I'll go get it. He would tell Trent that, or Damon, or whoever it was at the time, throw the ball up. I'll go get it. And he knew he would. He'll catch it between 2 or 3 guys. Well, we didn't see Sky Moore go up in the end zone. We didn't see MVS go up for one over the top. And so those things like that bothers me about not going up high point in the football. Like, you should be practicing that. And I'm not. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. I don't know.
It is interesting though. Obviously this is 2012. So when I played D2 ball. And I was always taught to go up and get the football. That was always taught. My brothers taught me that. My high school coaches always taught me that. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I was a slot receiver. But when I got to college, the system that we were running was an air raid system. And they were breaking all the receivers' habits instead of going up to high point the ball. They were telling us to throttle down to catch like this. They're saying, that the technique they wanted to teach us, that the throttle down method was for if you do have to go jump up for the ball, referee's not going to call pass interference on that. But if you throttle down, cornerback DB can come into you, and that'll, they'll call pass interference. And I don't know if that's, as you see more air raid going around the country now, I don't know if that's something that's being taught to these guys. And even if it is, JD, I mean, NFL coaches will break those habits, right? I mean, they should.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should never think, well, I'm playing to get a pass interference. No, you should know that, like, in the course of just learning, wide receiver skills and techniques, when balls may be underthrown. Okay, then you learn how to do that. Then you know how to do those things. So the thing is, that's something that a player that's played a lot, they know that you can throttle down to catch the football.
Yeah.
But it's haul and tail. All right. That's why sometimes you see some receivers and it's a short ball. They don't even turn around and just come fight for it.
Yeah.
When that ball is in the air, that ball is yours. Okay. Make no mistake about it. We talked about this. Okay. When we're in the meeting room, we understand that football, okay, that football, where's that suck at? I got one. I got plenty. That is your livelihood. That is your livelihood. That's how you make money. That's how you win games. That's how you score touchdowns. That's how you make your money. Is that ball. And when that ball's in the air, nobody else has that but you. You got to go get that, okay? So even if if the ball's thrown short, you got to go and try to go get that ball as much as possible. Because sometimes the defender's just not going to turn around, right? You just got to, you can't, sometimes you throttle and you see guys throttling down and then the ball's overthrown.
Yep.
Well, why is this guy jogging? He shouldn't be jogging. He should be hauling tail the whole way.
Yeah.
Every route, Al Saunders, we're going to get Al on here. Al Saunders said, you make every route look like it's going to be a 9 route, like it's a go route, like a streak. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. So my philosophy has always been that, look, when you come out of and I know a lot of guys, when you set guys up, you set them up at the line of scrimmage because it's man, right? But as soon as you do, go. I mean, it's full speed. It's full speed. So not only that, but also put your foot in the ground and getting out your break. Get out your break. Why does it take you 6 yards to get out of your break?
Yeah. And you're seeing a lot of that where Mahomes has gotten pissed off at receivers. He's saying come back to the ball on those. Where
finish the play.
It's like a lot of drifting upfield on those routes. It's like, come on, that's like, I mean, that's receiver 101 right there. That's route 101 right there, JD.
Man, drifting or just waiting on the football to get there. No, attack the football. If you know the ball, you got a comeback. Put your foot in the ground, you come down, and you give him hands and everything. You extend your hands. Don't catch him with your body. That's another thing. Okay, we could go over all these different things, right? I coached receivers for a couple of years. When you talk about coming down, you come attack the football with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what Pat said, man, keep coming back to the ball, right? These guys in the NFL are too fast and they're too good. When guys look like they're open, that window closes quick.
Yep.
I'm telling you, we talking about top athletes of the world. Okay, let everything look easy. So sometimes people say, "Well, is he open now?" I watched. I think Seth Kate was doing. He was doing an evaluation. You know, we had a good breakdown of it. If this certain route was open or not open, okay, certain guys have responded and responded in particular ways. And so the thing is, when you look at it, yeah, it determines whatever the defense is giving you, what they're running, man or zone, what the coverage is, obviously, but also too, make no mistake about it. There's a reason Patrick Mahomes is the best in the NFL. There's throws he can make that other people just cannot make. Touch throws and all those different things. The first of the year, there was a couple of touch throws that Pat was short on, that he was trying to make and didn't get enough on it. He didn't get enough on those things. So, like baseball. He's got a baseball background. You think he can't throw accurately at certain spots? I mean, shoot. It's in his DNA. I mean, his pops was a pitcher. He's been playing baseball for a long time. I'm a baseball player, okay? I know there's certain throws, like I know when I intend to play quarterback, I always like to play quarterback when I was a coach, because that's how you want to do. You standing back there and try to look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
All the throws I wanted to make was pinpoint. And it's just that baseball, following through, trying to get that in, trying to get into that window. But these things need to be talked about, need to be discussed to get these things down to a T, to know exactly what it is that you're expecting out of these guys. Exactly. And these guys got to know it. They've got to know it. And if certain guys ain't getting it done in particular routes, give that route to somebody else. Okay. And in NFL, when you had your shot, we gave you a shot to run this play. I used to laugh all the time because when we run like a trick play, of course, we give it to like a wide receiver, pitch it to him to throw, to throw the little okie doke,
Mm-hmm.
the wide receiver deep
Double
pass. If that sucker was successful the first or second time, it's scrapped. Like you had your chance and opportunity to show what you could do. You ain't coming back to it. No, we got it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. And so that's what it was. So I just this whole bye week, and I know it's kind of short, but you can get a lot done during that time.
Yeah.
Get a lot done during that time. So
yep. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.